In today's video, we're going to be having a look at GameStop again, just an update on the news, but also what's gone on US data and what's Ray Dalio said about crypto. Hello and welcome to another acysecurities daily report. My name is Alistair Schultz and I'm going to be your host through today's trading journey. The first thing I'm looking at today is at GameStop. As of always, because it is in the media, I thought it would be a good idea to bring some of the things that have happened in the overnight to your attention. Firstly, the stock is down 44%. We all kind of anticipated that this was likely to happen at some stage when we started seeing people pull out of positions. Now, so far, it's wiped out $11 billion of market value that has come from GameStop itself. And we've found that's really coming from trading house restrictions. So in the early hours, or at the early hours of our morning here in Australia, but of course the start of the US session, we started getting reports that we were going to be hearing from companies like Robinhood, who would be likely restricting the ability to purchase the GameStop stock. And that has actually happened. We've seen that they've done it to a number of different ones, including we've got AMC on there, we've also got BlackBerry, GME, and there's a couple of others that are affected as well that have had a little bit of high profile attention on Wall Street bets. So this is all something that is a little bit problematic because which side do you consider to be market manipulation in this instance? One side or both really do hold the characteristic features of both sides having market manipulation to a degree. Now, this is actually a decision that's likely to be reversed. I would anticipate that they've already seen I know Robinhood have already seen some legal matters going forward to try and stop them from doing what they're doing with restrictions. And so it's likely that this is going to turn around. But by that stage, the move in this price is already going to be gone. Now, I do anticipate seeing GameStop move down further over the next couple of days, perhaps the next sort of week. Now, even though Wall Street Bets has moved on to perhaps some other avenues of investment, they've actually moved into silver. We've already seen a lot of interest in the iShares Silver Trust on the Wall Street Bet forums. And of course, we've seen the price of silver starting to rise. Now, this is actually a move that doesn't actually bother me too much. I actually like the idea of silver being a little bit more valuable. Partially because I own silver, but also because I like the idea of silver. It's used a lot more in industrial production. So of the precious metals, it tends to be my favorite. So in this instance, maybe they're getting a little bit smarter about what they're going to be targeting. But in this instance, it's still for the same reasons. They're looking at a short squeeze here on the iShares Silver Trust. And they're obviously trying to push or inflate the value of silver up a little bit further. Now, moving on from silver, the overnight US data has come out. We had US unemployment claims and we also saw US GDP data. Now, from what I've seen, the US unemployment claims are marginally better, though even in this sort of current climate, that marginally better still means a fair bit. So right now, we've had a decrease of 67,000 claims. It means we've had 847,000 in total. The number they were estimating was about 880,000. Now, in GDP figures, we've also seen growth slow a fair bit on an annualized rate. For the fourth quarter, it dropped down to a 4% rate, or to a 4% rate. And we've also seen in the quarter three, if you remember, we saw a massive jump to 33.4% for growth of an annualized rate. So, this is the sharpest contraction we've seen since about 1946. But regardless, we have to keep in mind that where this time of year was when we saw that massive growth, this is probably more in line with growth figures that we were seeing well before the pandemic was happening. So a 4% thing isn't a huge concern, but the contraction amount is. Now, moving forward, Ray Dalio has been pretty vocal on cryptocurrencies this week, and he said that he does like the idea of cryptocurrencies and would consider even potentially getting them or getting a fund to build into them. So the issue that he likes them for is about the idea that what happens if we do get a debasement of fiat currencies. And he sees this as an opportunity to protect yourself against them. Now, of course, he also says, and he caveats it all, with the idea that it's kind of hard to place a value on a digital asset like this because realistically there's nothing underlying. So where do you find the real value number coming from? And of course, he made the link and the connection that, in the instance of what we've seen with GME and what we're seeing with silver right now and with Bitcoin in the past, is that a lot of it is actually built and based around its value on the network capability. And of course, that also applies to the social side of things. When more people talk about it, the more valuable this product gets. And so that's had the same effect that we've seen in GME. The more people talking about it, the further it gets outside of Wall Street Bets, and the more people wanting to take a piece of the action. So we are starting to see this little social element starting to tick on a little bit further. Now, the other risks that he does see when it comes to cryptocurrencies are that they are exposed to hacking. And of course, there is a huge possibility of government regulation inbound for them at some stage. We've already seen little snippets of stuff happening across Europe and the US, but of course, once we do get digital currencies out of central banks, this might be the big time for them to really crack down on the use of cryptocurrency assets. So we'll have to keep an eye on what the ECB, the Fed, and any other central bank that might be developing a digital currency might actually do about the crypto side. Now, in the news ahead of today, we have consumer confidence figures coming out of Japan, which will be a good indication of where obviously the local people are actually feeling about their businesses over the next couple of months. So that would not be a bad one to have an eye on. I do like consumer confidence reports. They do give us a little bit of an insight into what might happen in the economy near term. Of course, we also have the COF economic barometer, which is effectively the same thing. It's a little bit of confidence measure for us to be having a look at there. Now, outside of that, German unemployment figures much later tonight in the European session or the London session, and we also have Canadian GDP figures coming out later in the evening. Between now and then, we have mostly low-impact news, so keep your eyes peeled on your economic calendar and see if there's anything that might be affecting your current trading circumstances. Now, looking at other things to talk about today, if there was anything in here that you felt like you want to get in contact with me about, or you simply just want to ask a question, please feel free to get in contact with me via any of my social media channels. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video so you can get more great content from me and ACY Securities in the future. Have a great trading day ahead.